Oh, that's a hard bird work. Time for a little break. You want to go to the beach, guy? Yes, beach. Come on.
Hello! On today's suffer boating, we are on number 4 of the through holes. Only 5 to go. They are glued in with epoxy, so it's actually nearly...
You're taking out the through holes. Maybe we should give some context.
Yeah, so today we are in the process of taking out the old through holes, which by the way look pretty fine still for their age, but you never know. Replacing them with some composite ones, but it's quite difficult to get them out, so we figured the easiest way now is, the most brilliant, is to, as it sits in here, we carefully grind away the outer knob, and because they're also glued in with epoxy, once you remove that, it's actually only then it's possible to actually turn them. Without doing that, like with a big wrench inside with limited space, it's nearly impossible. And if you ever have to do it, the way I found, or we found most easy, is you just go straight and you kind of wedge away the outer ring without obviously going into the gel coat or fiberglass. And then once you slowly make you move around, you will actually see, you will actually get this part loose. Then you go on the inside and you turn, and then once you turn inside, you can either get the whole ball off or you get the whole thing turned out pretty easily most of the times. It's not a guarantee, but I think grinding and also making it a bit warm and losing all this surface area that's glued, it's the only way, for us at least. And the fastest. So now we have 5 more to go. So now here we are going a bit in the epoxy, and that is the outer ring, and then we just keep the inner ring. So we have to go all around, do the same thing, and then it's loose to go in or out. So we match it a bit, and tick, the ring comes up. Now a bit more grinding, so it's not thicker here, and then we hopefully can get it out towards the inside. And that is the cockpit drain. So everything is a struggle. The through holes were a struggle. We had to grind them outside, we had to grind them inside. They were glued in with epoxy. Today we finally managed to get the axis out, the shaft. So as we mentioned before, or I don't know if our propeller is broken. So we have another propeller, it doesn't fit the shaft. So we wanted to get the shaft out and make the shaft so it fits the other propeller, so we don't have to buy a new propeller. But in order to get the shaft out, we had to get this thing out, which holds the shaft bearing. And by the way, this also needs replacement. And that one was pretty nicely, it's screwed and it's also glued in. So we had to break first the epoxy and then use a really big wrench to get it out. Well, then of course this wouldn't come out, so we went to a mechanic who pulled it out for us. So, and now we also have to close a lot of holes. So we used some fiberglass from the inside, and now I'm stuffing it with a bit of epoxy with silica from the outside. And then we will grind it, and then we will put some more fiberglass on the outside, and that should be finally okay. And hopefully we get the new bearing soon, and the axis with the propeller, So we can put this all in. Then we also have the shaft seal that's on the inside. That also needs replacement. And here goes all our money. Right? So here there was a metal plate grounding. I think it was used by some previous owner. They had an S long wave radio, and that was for grounding. Now it wasn't even connected anymore. It was falling apart. It's down here. It's made of copper, and if you zoom in, it's like all corroded. So it was a really good call to get it out, because the holes, the screws are also copper. They start corroding, and then you have water in. So what we did now, we sanded a little bit the inside, and I put two layers of fiberglass on the inside of the boat. And now I just went with very thickened epoxy, and I sort of squeezed that in here. It's epoxy with silica. Same we did here. We had a speed sounder. Same. Here I put 3 layers of fiberglass on the inside. Now we just put epoxy putty. So then hopefully tomorrow, the day after, we can grind it again nicely, and then we can put 2 or 3 layers of fiberglass, like with increasing diameter, so we don't make the hole thicker, but we still have a good stability. Here the same. Maybe here the small holes are just 10 millimeters, and maybe we just need 1 thin layer of fiberglass. Then if we go over to this little beauty, we have grinded off it had like a little bulb. I think it was for the hydrodynamic. And now it's still water. So today we made it watertight. Where the gearbox is, we did the same.
Babe, it doesn't help you put your face in.
Yeah, I'm gonna come from here. So you have me on the camera.
I'm not tall enough. I'm sorry.
All right.
Oh, maybe if I do like this, hold it over my head. I don't know if I have you in shot.
It
though.
does matter. So here the same. A few layers of fiberglass from the inside. We sanded it before, and now we put some of the hardened epoxy. So now, if that hardens out, the boat is watertight already. This is a little gap, but it's sealed from the inside. So this way we don't need to put like 10 layers and rebuild all the layers here. We're gonna put a little hard foam PVC, and then we're gonna put, I don't know, 3-4 layers of fiberglass to make this waterproof. But if this was to break, we still have the tube that is waterproof, watertight by itself. So it should be pretty safe. Hopefully. And more hydrodynamics will be faster. We don't have the stupid bow thruster anymore. Right? And now we show you what we have done to our sinkhole, which nearly sunk us. So here we have already grinded it open. Unfortunately, it's the bilge you can't reach from the inside. I had to use a stick and put some paper to get the water. We cleaned it with acetone. We made a little round sandpaper. Since we can't reach from the inside, we will just use some of this nice filler here. Squeeze it all nicely in. And then tomorrow, the day after, we will start building them up with a few 6-7 layers of fiberglass. So it's stronger than ever. And then we have to do some more grinding here. Sanding and scraping, and then this is already a barrier coat against osmosis, so we have kind of a full protection of osmosis already, but we will put now another 2 or 3 layers of epoxy with copper. So we will do our own copper coat. It's much cheaper. Okay, it doesn't work that well, but then we can leave the boat in the water forever and just dive down and scrape it clean and save a lot of money, right?
Hopefully.
And tomorrow, maybe, we're gonna use that epoxy with silica to glue in our 9 through holes, and then they will become an integral part of the boat and last for another lifetime. Alright. Anything make sense?
any of what you said make
Yeah.
sense? Don't know. You can tell us in the comment section.
I hope.
Oh, please don't actually.
Yeah, and I used a lot of degreaser here because, so unfortunately this hole is unreachable from the inside. It's on the lowest point. Otherwise I would have preferred to put something, at least one layer, so you don't squeeze that in. But I think if we put 3-4 layers of fiberglass here, after this has, probably even if you leave it like this with no fiberglass, it will probably be stronger than ever. But sometimes if there's a bit of grease, then maybe the whole plop will just pop out or into the boat and then we sink again. So remember how we told you last time how a propeller was not supposed to sound, and that was our old propeller. We still had this propeller, which is also a left-hand propeller.
There are uninvited boats coming into the boats. Dogs coming into the boat.
Intruder.
Intruders.
Right. So we still had this one, which is also a left-hand propeller. My dad still had that. This, however, is for a 25mm axis, but we have a 30mm axis.
Guys!
Kai, stop it!
That's not entirely his fault. The other dog is
Kai,
barking.
please, come here. Come here to Daddy. Come here. It's very important we talk about the propeller. So anyway, this conus, or our shaft conus.
Conus?
Yeah, it's called a conus.
Ah.
Our shaft conus would not fit this propeller. So because we have no money, the right thing would have been to make a fitting propeller for our shaft, which is 30mm. But we're cheap, and we had this lying around. We like to reuse other things, so we actually took out the shaft and brought it to a guy for €50. He made us a new conus that fits that propeller. The unfortunate thing was that in order to take out our shaft, we also had to take away our shaft bearing housing, or whatever that's called, which was quite hard, but it points out we also needed maybe it would be okay for another 2 years, but we also changed the shaft bearing side, and now we're in the process to fit it all together. But Halberg Rassi made it quite hard. You see the shaft can't really pass here, you have to really wedge it out, and you definitely have to take out that one. So not an easy job. We hope we're just going to slide it out, without doing anything. Now we have to do everything. But now we're done. Now we're going to put back our shaft with our shaft bearing housing, whatever you call it, with a new bearing inside. We're going to pop out this slightly smaller propeller. And you can actually comment and tell us if it will work.
Yeah.
It's really not something...
I'm going, yeah.
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 It's really not something you should probably do, because if that doesn't work out, then we have to take the propeller out underwater, and we already have modified our shaft for a 25mm propeller, whatever, and have a new propeller manufactured. But we would have needed that to do that anyway, except now our shaft is a bit thinner in the end. But perhaps that's not the biggest problem. But we do hope that our calculations and our zero knowledge will actually work out. It is quite a bit smaller, but then again, we think our previous propeller was quite a bit bigger, and since we always like to engine quite slow and we don't care too much about the speed, maybe it's a better mix to have a little bit higher RPMs without putting too much strain on the engine. So that's the idea, and we will sail faster as well, hopefully. Okay?
Yeah.
And now, the way you put that on is you just pull it over, slowly, carefully. It goes through the bearing, and then it screws on here, and it was mounted previously. I think normally you're supposed to screw it up and down, but they had just packed the whole thing in epoxy filler, so it wouldn't move. We'll probably do the same thing. We don't want to drill any new holes. I think it's a good idea maybe to seal the last bits a little bit with either some Sika or also epoxy putty, so you don't have too much or you don't want any water going in between the housing and the tube that is inside. And then we also need to change our shaft seal on the inside, just to be sure. It needed to be changed anyway. That's another 150 euros, so it goes rather quick. You all know once the boat is out, there's more and more projects that come up, and the propeller was definitely one of those. But if that actually works, I mean, this one was for free, and we just adjusting the conus, that was 50 euros. So it's actually not too bad. Okay, and a new bearing, that was 70 euros, but one can argue we needed that anyway. So yeah, we're running out of money anyways. But if that works, it will be great. Let us know if you think it works, or cross finger that it works.
Stop moving!
I have to work, so I have to move.
No, I'm hungry now. I'm hungry, babe.
It's very nice. Screws on. No more play. So it will run like perfectly.
Like a perfectly?
It will perfectly. We will probably now with this propeller need like 3000 RPM to do even 3 knots, but who cares? Burn it out. We will just sail faster. Bye.